Welcome to Monarchist Minute. I'm your host, William Stout, here with Vice Chancellor Clemens Magnolia and our ideology co-chair, Georges P., aka Water Cube. How you gentlemen doing this evening?
Hello.
Hello, sorry.
We're
Lovely way to start.
It happens to the best of us. We're having a late start to our evening. In fact, we're almost 40 minutes past when we usually start, and well, I had my idea for you, something to talk about. Clemens had an idea. George's, you have any ideas?
Not really. Not that I can think of. Nothing that comes to mind as in my gut that I want to talk about.
Clements mentioned talking about courts ruling in favor of Trump. I wanted to talk about Mike Lee's land sale, but it appears that's already been killed.
Thank God.
Killed, yeah.
Oh, thank God, indeed. But unfortunately, that means it's old news, and it's not really something we can talk about unless you want to talk about it.
I'm always down to talk about the Bureau of Land Management. You can just go live out there. As long as you move every 30 days, so if you get like a year, you could just live out there. People don't know this.
Wait, say that again. As long as you what every 30 days?
Move every 30 days, as long as it's not a permanent structure. You can just live on BLM land. If you want to go be a nomad, you can just go do that.
That's actually kind of cool.
Because it's free for camping. I think there's some areas that are protected, so you'd probably want a map with you. But like having worked on BLM land with the Conservation Corps, it is just a whole bunch of nothing.
You want to share some of those experiences with the Conservation Corps? Because I've unfortunately never worked with the Conservation Corps, although that sounds like a wonderful, wonderful thing that'd be right up my alley.
It's kind of like doing park maintenance for the most part. First thing, it was like a month course. I was like around 15, 16 at the time. It was for the Youth Conservation Corps. We dug a trail for basically people with wheelchairs to be able to get down to a lake in Wyoming. Then we went to the Great Basin and we put clips on barbed wire to stop sage grouse from running into them. Which, I remember thinking that job was kind of BS, mostly because there was a guy who talked to us about the sage grouse dying about their population decline. And he's like, we don't really know if this is because they stopped killing snakes and the sage grouse population, since we stopped killing snakes, is just like this and this was its natural thing without the snakes being killed by farmers, or like the barbed wires impacting the sage grouse population.
Well, that kind of reminds me of something they offered when I was in Boy Scouts. So we have these programs in Boy Scouts called High Adventure, and they're basically super special campsites, places like I'm sure you've probably heard of God, what's it called? Philmont. Have you heard of Philmont before?
I think so. It sounds familiar vaguely.
Yeah, well, places like Philmont, Northern Tier, Sea Base, where these are basically premium, what we call them is high adventure bases, and they're on like state reserves or like these large tracts of land where you basically go on more hardcore campouts, like 2 weeks backcountry backpacking. Or I went to Northern Tier and did a week-long canoe trip out in the Boundary Waters. I don't know if you know what the Boundary Waters are.
I'm not familiar. I'm just gonna look it up. Oh, Minnesota. Okay.
Yeah, okay, so it's what is called a wilderness area. And so much like the Bureau of Land Management lands, this is an area where people aren't allowed permanently. You have to have a permit to go in there, and there's no larger groups than 9. We had 8 in ours. So anyway, we're out there in the middle of nowhere. And, well, of course, it's rather expensive to go on these trips because the BSA is, while still a non-for-profit, still has to pay for the upkeep of facilities and such. But
Yeah.
one of the ways you can go out there, kind of like a scholarship way, where you can still go have your trip, but do it cheaper, is you can join what is called Trail Crew, which you go a week early, and they basically work you to death, and you get a reduced cost.
Yeah, that does just sound like the CCC. No, because I was like, what you were describing earlier, I was like, yeah, no, the CCC is just that plus construction. Then you just got to the construction end of it, and yeah, same idea. I think with the CCC though, you get paid like a $350 education credit, at least for the youth. I'm pretty sure. For adults, like you get, I think, minimum wage.
But yeah, it was, yeah, for BSA, it's a scholarship. Like I said, reduced price for the actual trip. Which, depending on where you go, it could be a $2,000-$3,000 trip. So it's a pretty sizable scholarship, almost half price for a week of work. So
Yeah, that's good.
yeah, but I'd love to go back out there at some point. It's a really nice country. There are some of the lakes up there where you could actually sit in the middle of the lake and be right on the U.S.-Canadian border. Look to your left is Canada. Look to your right, it's America. I actually have a funny anecdote about that where I illegally crossed the border into Canada and then crossed back in. So when you're in a canoe, when you're canoeing, you'll have to do what is called portaging, which you'll have to carry your canoe over dry land.
Yeah.
And they had these massive rapids in between the lakes, so we'd have to get out of our canoes while we were still in the water, take them out of the water, and then carry them over land. And one of the trails to do this actually ended up on the Canadian side of the river, so you got to illegally cross into the Canadian border for like all of 15 feet. It was just a funny little novel thing that we said happened. Illegally crossing the Canadian border. And there's really nothing stopping you from staying in the Canadian campsites. Unless, God forbid, the Mounties just happen to roll up on you. Because, you see, this is the funny part. The Mounties, in order to enforce the border, because it's a wilderness zone and it's taken so seriously, there are no motorboats. None. So, you're in a high-speed pursuit in a canoe. I want you to imagine the absurdity of getting chased down by a Mountie demanding to see your papers because you snuck into some of the Canadian campsites.
It sounds like a Rocky and Bullwinkle tier adventure.
It sounds glorious.
No, it sounds great. But my only thought was Rocky and Bullwinkle.
We didn't end up staying at any of the Canadian campsites illegally, though, even as much as we thought it would be funny. Not for any, legal reasons or matters of respect or anything, but because our guide told us that they didn't have, latrines at the Canadian campsites. We had to dig our own.
That's not that bad.
I know, but none of us felt... We were all a bunch of lazy teenagers and we're like, we do not want to go and dig our own toilet.
Well, all you need to do is go out to the forest and dig a trowel hole that's deep enough to bury it, and you're fine.
I know how to dig a cat hole. It's just, like I said, we were lazy and we didn't want to do it, asshole.
That's fair. Hey, I remember.
The grumpers were honestly nice. That's what they called them. They were called grumpers. It was literally a box with a toilet seat drilled to it, screwed onto it, and it was just sitting in the middle of the woods. No roof, no nothing.
With the CCC, we switched around. Sometimes we were just in normal campsites where other people were doing recreational camping, because we were doing work in that park or whatever, and we'd commute in the truck to the place we were doing work. One time it was in the middle of nowhere, Wyoming, but there was we were next to a building that we were able to use as the bathroom, but it also had a shower because there was no shower. So we for a while. And getting the shower after, I think it was week 3, was the nicest thing ever.
Yeah.
Also,
that shower after being out in the boondocks forever is wonderful. It's a wonderful experience.
But also, we were still in the middle of nowhere, so when you go to bed after showering or whatever, you can look up and see the bands of the galaxy because of no light pollution.
Oh, I would kill for that. We had some pretty good nights up in Minnesota, but unfortunately most of us were too tired by the end of the day to make it all the way to nightfall. And of course, when you're at a higher latitude, evenings are longer during the summer. Now, one of the nicest things they had at the base camp, which is the main center, I guess you could say the summer camp area of this facility.
Yeah.
was in their giant shower house, which, for starters, it was a really nice shower house. You each got your own private rooms in the shower, which is something you don't get at summer camp. But they had a dry heat sauna. Now, I know some people have talked about before the difference between wet heat and dry heat, but as someone who grew up north of the Mason-Dixon line, I have never truly got to experience dry heat until that day, and oh my god, it is a different experience. Like, 100 degrees in a dry heat sauna is nothing compared to humidity. It is wonderful.
I'm gonna go up to bat for wet heat, like because when I was in Wyoming, that was dry heat. That was dry as hell heat, and you just get nosebleeds. So it's a bit more intolerable on that front if you're not used to dry heat.
But yeah,
In a
it was
sauna, it's nice though.
yeah. Especially after a week of, because when we went there, we got super unlucky and we got slammed with a cold front as we got there.
So you're
it was
enjoying
like,
the sauna under the right conditions.
yeah. So it was like mid-June. It was 50 degrees all week, not rainy, cold. We couldn't catch any fish because that was one of the big perks. Any fish you could catch, you could eat, but we couldn't catch any fish because of the cold front. It was rainy, it was cold, it was miserable, it was overcast and cloudy most of the week. I think it only got above 70 one day, and that was the last day we were out on the water before we had to go back. And that was also the day I ended up giving myself second-degree sunburn. Because after a week of being bundled up because it being cold, I decided, I'll go shirtless in the canoe. It won't be that bad. It was that bad. It was very, very bad, and I turned into a cherry tomato. No comment?
I'm just thinking about how nice saunas are. And also how its budget sucked, like to not catch any fish at all, like because of
Yeah,
that cold front. Like,
we even asked, we were so cocky about it. We even asked for like the good fishing equipment and for them to pack fish fry in with our food for the week. And we ended up using the fish fry to make onion rings. They were really good onion rings, but still. Oh, and let me tell you about this stuff called bannock. So bannock is like this instant flour crap. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's supposed to be like this baking mix. This all-in-one baking mix, right?
yeah,
And they give you what they call it a waffle iron. It's basically a steamer that you put it in. You put water in the bottom and you put a lid on top and it's supposed to steam cook whatever you put in it. It worked horribly. It did not work at all. And so everything we tried to make with this bannock turned into pudding. Because we could not get it to bake anything. Like
that's all.
we had this guy in our group. His name was Doc. He was our guide. He was our quote unquote expert. Older gentleman, as his name implies, he was a doctor, but very nice guy. Well, it was his birthday while we were up there, so we tried to be nice. It's like, well, let's bake him a cake with this bannock stuff. We have chocolate mix. We have the bannock. Let's make it. No. No cake. It was pudding. It was, and it was like weirdly gravelly pudding. Like, you know what I mean by gravelly? Like it had that graininess to it from the
Yeah,
flour mix.
I was like looking up what bannock was just to get like a more of an idea, and like it's kind of probably like eating corn flour pudding.
Yeah, I was like, this is just some of the weirdest stuff. And for the life of us, we could not get it to cook. And then we came up with, they also packed this stuff that was called Ketchup Supreme. It was named after one of the lakes up there. And I guess it was like some kind of weird local Minnesota delicacy. Because it was made out of that Minnesota wild rice. But the thing they don't tell you is the wild rice is not actually rice. And it does not cook like rice. And it does not come out like rice. It comes out crunchy. Have you ever eaten crunchy rice?
Yeah, I understand the pain.
Yeah, and the only thing we had to put, it was like crunchy rice and like poorly seasoned vegetables. And the only thing we had to make it tolerable was pita bread to put it on. It was something else. It was a very, very miserable meal. But it wasn't. There was a lot of good food up there, but that was a very miserable meal.
Yeah, no, that sounds bad.
Mm.
I
I
don't
have
really
a
have
lot.
much more. I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead. I've been
I,
hungry
I,
some time.
like you just made me think about the camping food that I had, but like most of it was like just a really weird recreations of dishes. Did y'all have anything that was like a weird version of pad thai made with like peanut butter or anything like what you brought up with you?
No, okay, so all the food was provided for us. They had like an on-site quartermaster that would pack all your food. You didn't have to bring any food. You just had to bring your luggage and like your gear. So
Okay.
I think we had some kind of Asian food No, I'm thinking of we had Mexican food. That's what we had. Like some kind of taco chili mix.
Okay.
But one of my favorite things we had up there to eat is they had this stuff that was they called it Hudson Bay bread. And the only way I can describe Hudson Bay bread is imagine it looks kind of like one of those soot cakes that you put in bird feeders, but it tastes like magic. Like, okay, so imagine crossing a granola bar and pemmican. You know what pemmican is?
Yeah.
It's like that. But it's made with granola and like dried fruit and other stuff, and it's basically 50% icing and fat holding it together. And so they came in these little bars, like little packages that were wrapped in saran wrap. And I was told that you had to make sure you ate them before you went back because you could not take them home because if you try and run them through airport security, they will 110% mistake it for C4. And I can understand why it looked like a brick of C4, but tasted like pure diabetes. And apparently, you're supposed to split it into 3 pieces, and each piece is a serving, and each serving is 500 calories. But they did not tell us this. So I ended up eating this whole brick of 1,500 calories in one sitting. And that was like the closest moment I felt to like that scene in the extended edition of Lord of the Rings where Pippin is just like, so how many pieces of lembas bread did you eat? 4. Just like inhaling 1,500 calories in like 10 minutes.
Yeah. Just I was thinking of the Lord of the Rings reference still. I'm sorry for being like dead silent there. It's just like, yeah, no, that's just what you did. You were just Pippin.
It's like, this is supposed to be 3 meals. This is supposed to last me all day. And I just ate it in 10 minutes. It's for the life of me, I would love to get a hold of it again, but I cannot. I could theoretically make it myself, but it just seems like more work than it's worth.
There might be some like online store where you could probably get it from because I know you can get pemmican online.
Yeah, I could probably find a recipe online too. I just have to break down and actually put in the effort.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I've been rambling tonight. I usually don't ramble this much.
At least it's about like we're rambling about normal things. It's not
Right.
like some weird ideological rant in some obscure
Yeah.
direction.
This is a
Just talking
fun
about
casual
camping.
episode. Yeah, this is a fun casual episode. Not
Like,
no esoteric nonsense.
I've been thinking about actually like going up camping in Appalachia because like I realized, oh, that's really nice and it's just over there.
I don't do tent camping enough anymore. It's honestly kind of sad. I'd like to do it more, but I don't get out enough and do it anymore.
It is something though you have to set aside like a whole weekend or day to do. So it's
I'd like
like
I'd like to go on a decent backpacking trip again, but my scout troop that I volunteer with doesn't really go on those anymore. I used to be really good at backpacking too. I have a real nice pack and everything.
you could try to find like a hobbyist group that does it.
Yeah, but I don't want to go out with strangers. I'm too introverted. I don't like people enough.
Yeah, that's fair. Like sometimes like you do just gotta like bite the bullet and go like yap to the guy at the vape store or whatever, and then you find stuff to do that way. Or people to do things with that like you don't want to do alone.
I know, I know. And some of my friends in my church group go camping, but unfortunately, the weeks they're going camping, I have things I gotta do.
And I've never liked camping.
No.
No, that's why I've been quiet this entire time. I'm like, very interesting. Yeah, no, not for me.
I'm sorry.
Was it a bad experience or was it more just like never
It's
interested
not
you?
really, never really interested me.
No, that's understandable. It is not for everyone.
I hate bugs.
Oh, yeah, that's the bugs are the worst. Like
Yeah.
if you're not like basically giving yourself the equivalent of like a dosage that they'd give a World War I soldier of mustard gas, but with bug spray, you're not
Yeah.
gonna survive out there.
I know. Even when I do, I'm still like, they're everywhere.
You would not have liked Minnesota. Then
Soda.
the mosquitoes there were like hummingbirds, and those weren't even the worst thing. The black flies were worse than that.
Minnesota.
And the
Yeah,
thing about the black flies is they weren't a problem on the shore or on land. No, those bastards would follow you. They would take breaks on your canoe and then follow you out to the middle of the lake the entire day.
Dang.
So what we ended up doing was we found this stuff. I forget what it's called, but basically it was a spray bottle full of pesticide. And instead of normal bug spray where you spray it on your skin, you soak your clothes in this stuff and it's good for like 8 washes. And that's what we did for bug repellent all week. I passed that around to all the kids in my troop. I said, treat your clothes in this stuff.
that sounds amazing. I wish I had that, honestly.
Hang on,
Like
I think I still got the bottle around here. I think it might be in my closet because I never used it all. That's like almost God. That's like an 8-year-old bottle now, and I don't know how to get rid of it because it's one of those things you can't throw it away in normal trash because of what
uh,
it is.
there has to be some way to dispose it though that you'd be able to look up. It's like lithium batteries. You probably gotta take it to like a special place.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go on a rant real quick because this is something that honestly bugs the ever-loving crap out of me. For all of these things that exist that they want you to dispose of property, like the energy-saving light bulbs or lithium batteries or digital electronics, all of these things that you say you have to turn into a proper disposory place. Why do they make the resources to find these places so difficult? And two, why do they then penalize you for doing the right thing by fining you for the disposal? Like, I'm sorry, I can't blame anyone for throwing paint away in the trash if they're gonna have to pay to dispose of paint the right way. Don't penalize people for doing the right thing.
I know with like at least lithium, there are some places that like will pay you people set up vending machines to also take lithium batteries because resale value on them.
I usually just take all my stuff to the hardware store because my hardware store takes it for free.
Okay.
Menards is nice like that. But you get what I'm saying. Like, it's so stupid that they come up with all these things about in all these campaigns to get people to stop throwing away like digital electronics, batteries, and such into landfills. But when you actually go to the waste management place, after you actually find the waste management place, they want to charge you to take it. Like, why am I being penalized for doing the right thing?
Yeah, it is kind of a grift. It's kind of like when getting rid of asbestos. They wouldn't, send someone from the government to go do it for free, or like at least pay someone to go do it for free on your side of it. Like you'd have to pay someone who's specialized in getting rid of asbestos to get rid of it. Not really the same thing, but like similar, where it just created a new level of middleman to handle those things.
Yeah, because I got some digital old electronics equipment in my house that I'd really like to get rid of, but I don't know where to dump it. I don't want to throw it away. It's just, yeah, it's just one of those things. Like you said, it is a grift.
I love the middleman. He's my favorite guy. He totally doesn't gouge me.
I hate the middleman.
Parthia is. This is totally Roman silk. It's not just our silk passed back through Italy.
True, so true.
Alright, I think I've hogged the microphone enough tonight. Anyone else got anything?
I don't know.
me.
I mean, I've been just kind of vibing here, listening to you two talk basically this entire time.
Yeah, no, I don't really have much other than like still thinking over stuff from the CCC, like going to Devil's Tower again.
I'd like to go see Devil's Tower. I've never. Well, hang on a second. Yeah, I've been west of the Mississippi because where I was in Minnesota would technically fell west of the Mississippi, but it's like, yeah, I've never really been out west. I've never really been in much of the South either, but
Like the West before you get like once you reach Idaho or before you reach Idaho, but from the Midwest onward, it's kind of like a weird mix of the Midwest and the South. Like that's the only way to describe the culture.
just corn and ranches.
Less corn, more just ranches. They can't really grow corn out there pretty effectively. Like in the Dakotas you can, but not in Wyoming, Montana. Montana's cowboy country through and through.
I'm trying an agricultural experiment.
What are you growing?
I'm growing a pomegranate tree.
How's that going so far?
Yeah, I remember you texting me like, "Hey, I'm gonna buy a pomegranate tree." I said, "No, don't do that." Like, I'm gonna do it anyways.
It's pathetic right now, but I was told that usually the first growing season for a transplanted sapling, it's gonna be pathetic because of transplant shock. But it's not dead yet, and it's been almost a month, so
Hey, that's progress.
yeah, progress. It's pretty green, it's not wilting, and few of the branches have, like lower branches have died, but those branches look pretty pathetic when I got the thing, so.
Oh, I need to check on my potatoes. I kind of forgot to maintain them. Anything
You
of gardening?
Oh dear, not the potatoes.
I'm gonna go through like an Irish famine.
Imagine being so bad at agriculture you can't even grow potatoes.
It's not out of a badness. It's more that I like forgot they existed, and I think they already like grew and then died again. So they're just gonna keep growing there, I guess.
Wait, when did you plant these potatoes?
Like a couple months ago.
Oh, they shouldn't be done yet. If they're dead, you're not getting potatoes.
I think they were starting to grow a tuber last time I checked on them.
So, did you like plant them in the ground, or are they in a pot, or?
I just threw them in the ground, threw them in my yard. After digging a little bit of a hole, I was like, I don't really care about this. I just want to see what happens.
A plant I really want to experiment with is Jerusalem artichoke, which is a form of wild sunflower, and apparently they're really good.
I heard that like those are easy to grow.
Oh yeah, they grow everywhere. They grow like a miracle from God. Oh, Joe's growing grapes.
He
I have
lives
a
in California. He can do that.
He can
Well,
do wine.
Yeah,
you
he
can
can
grow
do
grapes.
wine.
You can grow grapes in Ohio too. You just gotta find the right places.
In Virginia, like most of it's technically like good for wine.
You can technically grow one in North Carolina too.
We have a surprising number of vineyards in Ohio, especially up on Lake Erie. Like Putnam Bay, Perry's Island is like half vineyard. You wouldn't think it would be because of lake effect and everything, but it is.
I wish we were a bit more nationalist with our wine.
I
Like we
just
should be.
wish
We're not really a wine drinking country though.
Yeah,
That's what
I more mean like using muscadine grapes, the American grape, instead of like importing European grapes to try to mimic Europe. Because we got our own grape, and we should use that. Like we should at least take advantage of it more.
does the
aren't
muscadine grape really is it good enough for making wine or
Oh yeah,
okay?
like,
Sure.
it
aren't
was like used by
Concord grapes-
the founding fathers to make some wines because it was easier to grow because it was native here.
Yeah, of course.
aren't Concord grapes also native or?
I think Concord grapes might be muscadine grapes under a different name. I need to check.
I've always liked Concord grapes. They've always have a really good flavor. But no, when we're talking about wine and stuff, the one thing I wish America would stop doing is growing all of our produce in California. Because I think it's so incredibly stupid that 99% of the human consumed produce grown in the US is grown in like one of the most drought prone states in the country. Like, why on God's green earth are we growing everything in a desert, basically? Like, there's no reason that we're not growing grapes, apples, lettuce, and all this stuff in, like, North Carolina or Alabama or literally any other state where there's relatively good access to water.
I think like
I mean, well, okay. The thing is that California. The problem is that it did have very good access to water. The problem is that there's just so many people now, and so much of it has to be diverted to LA that a lot of it's now gone. That's one of the main issues, and also the almond industry, because almonds are such a weird plant because they can only grow in dry environments, but they need a crap ton of water.
How does that work?
I
That's like
don't know. I don't know. Like, how did this even how did this even develop?
That's like panda bears being so stupid that they're literally driving themselves to extinction. How did this plant evolve and survive?
maybe we should just let almonds die.
Honestly, I could live with that. I'm not a huge fan of almonds. They're
Are
like
they important to any ecosystem?
I don't know.
Okay,
They're,
then yeah, see, they don't matter. It's like
they're not
mosquitoes.
even they're not even that good of nuts, if I'm being honest. Cashews and pecans are better.
Are they even like really nuts? Aren't they like secret third thing compared to a nut?
I don't know. Kind of like how peanuts are technically legumes and not nuts.
They're a drupe apparently, not a nut.
Oh, what?
They're
Yeah,
true.
a drupe, drupe,
What is a drupe?
which is fleshy on the outside with a hard shell inside.
Oh yeah, so true of peanuts.
No, it's not about almonds.
Oh, I thought you said, okay, never mind.
Yeah, like almonds are
Oh,
drupes, not nuts.
Oh, that makes
Like peanuts are like they're legumes or legumes.
Well, let me figure out where almonds are native to.
Isn't it like Palestine?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Southwest Asia, Middle East, yes.
Technically, yes.
But apparently Iran, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, Afghanistan, and Iraq. But still, it makes no sense. Why do they only grow in dry climates but need like obsessive amounts of water? That's so weird.
I don't know. Like other reason is like why are we growing this agriculturally when it's not really like yeah, almonds are nice. I love like the smell of cyanide in my food, but
For real.
it just if it costs that much water, I don't know. I hate capitalism sometimes.
Yeah. I'm a little excited because I heard that they're getting ready to start shipping out the hybrids for the American chestnut, so we'll start having chestnut trees back.
Oh, that's nice.
Maybe we can replace all those trees with chestnut trees.
I mean, the American uh currant industry was exterminated because the fact that it was a vector for a dangerous fungus that would kill off the American pine. So the
Right.
government decided to completely get rid of them.
So I'm down for getting rid of the almond industry just because it's environmentally stupid. But what should we replace it with?
Does it need to be replaced with something?
True.
That is the real
It really
question.
doesn't. Like, I mean, when I used to live in California, I remember driving from whenever we go to Vegas to see my aunt and my grandmother, we would always drive past the acres and acres of dead almond trees. Just leave it be. For heaven's sakes, leave the land to be. Okay?
Sounds apocalyptic almost.
Honestly,
Oh, you-
when it kind of does feel like it though. It does because when you're there, there's nothing. Like you look around as far as your eye can see, there's nothing but just open plain and dead almond trees.
Y'all guys want to see apocalyptic? Come to the Midwest in winter. Stand in the middle of a cornfield after it's been picked, and just be
It
one
it
with the
it,
nothingness.
it looks like it's the nuclear winter hit.
Exactly. You see, that is the thing that I hate the most about global warming. Because now that we don't get enough snow in the winter, you're just staring outside and it's empty fields, dead trees, and brown grass. It's literally like Fallout, but without any of the fun RPG whimsy.
I was gonna say like Stalker almost.
Yes, 100% like Stalker, including the abandoned car just sitting in the middle of nowhere.
There's a reason why all the Ukrainians, like Germans and all of them, moved out to the Midwest. It reminds them of home, the hell that is home. And now it's even more hellish.
Yes, because now you have the post-industrial era gave us the abandoned buildings to go alongside with the hell of empty fields.
Can't wait to see those torn down to be replaced with like professional middle class or managerial class apartments. That's gonna be so awesome.
I hate suburbanites. I hate suburbanites.
They're
I
gonna
swear.
charge $5,000 a month
I
because
swear
it
to
has a folksy
God,
vibe.
I'm going to.
Real, so real.
For legal reasons, I can't say what I'm going want to say I want to do to all the real estate developers, but oh, these people make me want to go on my Ted Kaczynski arch and fierce.
You could always go the French way.
The French way? Oh, with the sugar and concrete trick?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, I remember that too. I forget what's the ratio on that again?
I think it's a pound of sugar like ruins like around a ton's worth of concrete.
Noted. So all I need to do is grab one bag and throw it in the giant thing, and we are good to go.
Yeah, but that's implying like we build things using concrete again, which we just aren't doing anymore. We don't
Well,
build
The
things
only the
anymore.
only thing we use concrete for now is like just the the foundation for houses. At least that's what
well,
we do down here.
if they still need concrete for the foundation, then I can still block it.
Yeah, but they're not going to build anything. They're just going to live in the husks of the old and then tear those down and use their foundations. Because we just reconstitute everything instead of building new things because we don't
Then I
believe in
put
big
the
structures
sugar in their
anymore.
gas tanks. I will find a will. I will find a way.
I condemn everything Will is saying. I think he's full of it.
I just stand by we should build big buildings again. I like Pruitt ego.
I like big buildings too, just because I like efficient use of space. I just hate suburbanites and land developers because I hate gentrification, and they're gentrifying my nice little rural town.
Down.
Well, anywho, we should probably wrap this up. We've been rambling on.
Oh yeah, like one thing though on gentrification, I'm still pissed off that they turned like this old Greek Orthodox church. I think it was a cathedral actually into a restaurant.
Oh no, 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 no. No,
Ye-
absolutely not. I
It
can
was
understand.
beautiful too, with the old like Orthodox style like iconography. Like I'm not Orthodox, but I can appreciate it. I can appreciate the hustle.
Tell me they didn't rip out the iconography in
I'm
things.
pretty sure they did. I think they already were on that. Like by the time they announced that, hey, we're turning this into a restaurant. By the way,
What happened to the old iconography? Don't
no
tell.
idea.
Oh,
Like I meant to look into it while it was happening. I was just like, oh, okay, well, goodbye
my blood
downtown. At least people are gonna visit the World War One Victory Arch more.
Okay, so we're stopping this episode now before my blood pressure reaches a new high and I end up committing a.
There you are.
All right. Well, please bow your heads and join me in prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us of our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. Heavenly Father, help us to become better stewards of our natural environment. Help us to better use our land and better respect it. And Heavenly Father, I pray that that church eventually gets returned to its original use and that those icons were not destroyed. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. All
Amen.
right, everyone. Thank you for joining us this week on Monarchist Minute. We hope to see you next time, same place. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit like, comment, and subscribe. If you're watching this or listening to this on any of our services, hit whatever button gives you the notification for a new episode. Follow us on social media. Get a hold of us via email or direct message if you want to help out, or join us on Discord. Until next time, may God bless you and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you and good night.